We're so glad to have William and Darlene with us today, talking about the refugee work and the ministry that they're doing in Greece. And I appreciate all of you joining us today. I'm going to hand it over to William and Darlene and let them talk about their work and their family and how our churches can be involved in what they're doing.
Very good. Well, to give you a little bit more of an idea and to clue you in just a hair of where we are, what we're doing. Some of you obviously are aware of the fact that this is Greece. Working with Central Asians, Iranians, Afghans, and basically any other people coming from those regions that speak some culmination of languages that we're able to interact with. We live in Athens. Well, we actually live just outside of Athens. For those of you who've been here, we live out towards the airport, but we work in the center section of the city, very centrally located to where a number of the refugees are for meetings or either some of the camps. And yeah, just a little bit about us. We've, 12, 13 years now with
overseas and 10 years in Greece.
10 years in Greece. So just a mixture of a number of different things. And
we have kids. We have 2 kids.
2 girls.
Actually, the oldest just turned 13 last weekend. So
you guys
can pray for us.
Yeah, you can pray. You can pray for us with that for sure. There is no question.
So we have a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old, and they attend an international school, but they are fluent in Greek. They're amazing, and
studying Arabic, Spanish. They're working. They're going to be quadruple lingual with some time. It'll be quite interesting. But yeah, so let's take just a few moments, and we've got a small outline of things we wanted to share with you, give you an introduction to our work. Our goal, it's based around a Matthew 28 vision. And we're going to share with you a little bit more about our entry, but I wanted to just kind of give you a broad picture of what it is that we're hoping to do as a team with people as we're working with other long-term individuals, whether that's short-term, 2-year people, a few months, or even a 1-week trip. Our goal is to use an entry or a platform strategy, which is a language school that Darlene will share with you a little bit more in a few minutes, that leads to evangelism. We have multiple different tools, avenues, and ways that we approach evangelism that lead into discipleship. That is a simple, reproducible element, but often that will create a much deeper aspect. We were just laughing about one of the guys doing discipleship. You tell that story.
Yeah, so one of our national partners, who is a single man, he keeps getting all of these questions from his students about marriage. So he has asked a friend who is another Persian pastor who is married, and together they are doing these online Bible studies where they take questions and answer them. And because this guy, even though he's single, but the questions are coming to him, and so this other guy's helping them, and it's really cool. I love watching that happen.
They're doing that through Instagram live stories. It's been really kind of fun seeing how that has come together. But it's just been in this context of screens and different pieces, learning how to do discipleship through social media. And that's kind of been a shift that we've been dealing with as we have people that leave here and go into other parts of Europe, and even some who go back to the homelands. And so that creates a need to help them understand, to be a part of a healthy church, to know what a healthy church is. What's the makeup? Is it 9 marks of a healthy church? Is it 12 defining factors? There's all types of different conversations that come into that. But our goal is to have evangelism that leads to discipleship, that plants healthy churches, which ultimately is because of the leadership that's involved. And so we've got a Saturday leadership seminar where people actually get up early in the morning, every Saturday morning, and we've got a group of 9 to 12 people that show up, going through, right now we're going through the book of Acts chapter at a time every other Saturday. And then the second Saturday, or the opposing Saturday, they're doing systematical topics where they discuss what is marriage, what are these different thoughts, like if they hear about modalism in the Trinity or something like this. So all of those pieces lead ultimately to a strategy where we want to see the exit occur. One of the partners that I work with, he said, we're kind of like the Antioch church, but in reverse. we're doing church, we're doing all these things, but we're not sending people like Paul out. We're sending new churches out to these different areas. So I don't know how you feel about that as a missiological model, but it's where we live. You know, we're pouring into these people, we're watching them go to these other places and hopefully carry some of those practices.
I'd like to point out something about that that's to me very exciting, and I want you guys to hear it too. Among the Persian church, what's so exciting is that we are able to do every aspect right now of the missionary task with the people here in Athens right now. We had years where all we did was entry and evangelism. And so we have just, and now we're just really blessed and privileged to be able to have a toe in each area.
It's a very, very good observation. So what's happening as we're talking about the work and the different pieces? I want to give Darlene just a moment to talk about that first step, the entry phase and connecting, and kind of what that looks like for you guys.
So one thing that we're doing is we have a language school. So we have Greek and English classes. The sort of vision for that is that our expat workers and our national believers would have a place to meet people with whom they can share the gospel, disciple, and ultimately funnel them into a church. Now, we've been on lockdown for about a year now. So my exciting story is from a long time ago before lockdown. But within the first few weeks of our starting our English program, we had 6 seekers. We had a woman who came to know Christ. She came to church because of coming to ESL. I mean, we really are seeing this as a great way to meet people's needs. They need language to grow and function and to have a life. They cannot function just in Farsi. So another part of our platform, we have both men's and women's ministry. A lot in Persian work, those things are usually very separate. So we have a women's Bible study that's an outreach for Afghan women, and we're storying through the Bible, and we're doing a craft, and we're involving our female national believers in leading those stories and having those discussions, and then they're following up. There's a man cave that's like a workshop, and you guys do manly things there, and
mostly break things, but we have opportunity to interact with guys, actually building like this new form of like upright cornhole boards this week with a guy who wants to slip out and try to take his chances of not getting caught by the police. So, and it's just a great fun time to get around some wood tools, which is something that I get passionate about, and to be able to, you know, breathe sawdust and hang out with some guys and talk about some different things.
Something else that's a part of our ministry here that is a growing part of our ministry is trauma counseling. And Tim and I were talking about this and just the huge mental health needs among refugees, and that it is an area that isn't being met. And so we've got a Farsi counseling website where we're producing Farsi videos about mental health education and coping skills, and all of these videos point towards Jesus. We've got an Athens counseling, like citywide sort of collaboration with GCC partners where we're doing trauma healing seminars, and so this is something I'm very passionate about, and it's a big part of our ministry right now.
So as we're talking through that, one of the questions that comes to mind is your partnership in some of those different aspects. As you guys have been talking about now for many months, the idea of coming, what that looks like working alongside us. The language school is a unique opportunity in that you can be here, participate in classes as they are happening, but we also are working with groups and setting up conversational text messaging things through WhatsApp, through Viber, so that there's a continued relationship and there's a continued conversation. There's been some test pilots of even introducing some folks that are at different levels during COVID, just so that the people who want to be engaged. And so there's multiple places. If we didn't say this at the beginning, you can start shooting us questions here, and we'll try to address some of those things at the end. We'll try to come back to that at another point. But One of the other parts that we have wrestled with and we've prayed about and thought a lot about was how this continues to work in COVID. And we're going to talk about COVID and how that affects trips. But one of the things specifically I wanted to share with you is even though there are lockdowns, even though it appears we're at home, we're still doing a lot of different work and a lot of different ministry contexts. We still have national partners. One individual that I'm thinking about in particular who is investing in 28 different groups through platforms like Teams and Zoom. And this is a national partner. This is an individual that is a part of that Saturday discipleship leadership development class that I was talking about. But because of different factors, we need to support him. We need to help him with rent, with some grocery money, with some different things. And so we'll talk about giving. We'll talk about some of those things in just a minute. But as we look at all the different aspects of this, we wanted to say thank you for those who are supporting the ministry in different ways. But we also wanted to say we can give you other options if you would like to come alongside us in helping with the salary of a national partner who is engaging in this long-term ministry. So let's move to that idea and let's talk about giving, going, and sending. Giving is one of the things most Southern Baptists are aware of. We have the cooperative program. Most of you pastors are familiar with that, as well as the Lottie Moon Christmas offering. There's also a third category specifically. We'll show you that link in just a minute that goes directly into the work that we're talking about here in Athens, and that's called an LMC challenge. Giving is an intricate part of this, and we're very grateful for the work and the investment that you guys make in Lottie Moon. For those of you maybe watching this in the live stream later and you don't know what that means, we can include some links and things there. Going is probably the next thing that is so significant to our work. A lot of people coming from different contexts, seeing, being involved, and having a heart for what we are doing happens by seeing and by doing. Unfortunately, that's been limited, and so we're trying to create some new ways to share through virtual, but we understand that that's not the same. So again, as we're dealing with the going and some of the questions that we're going to ask here at the end of this seminar or at the end of this conversation, we can think through what that looks like in the face of COVID. But the last thing I want to focus on, and I want to define this because you guys seem to have this interest, this continued interest in Greece, is the sending. What we look for in our context here in Athens are people who are willing to commit to a 1-week trip, to a 3-month experience. That could be a retired couple that just has some extra time. Months is kind of the extent of what we call a short-term visit because of visa requirements. We can only allow someone to join our team for 89 days without a long-term visa. Now, if someone's willing to spend the time to acquire a long-term visa, we have college students, we have other people that will come for 2 years, and some people who will even join us outside of an IMB perspective for a 4-year term. And so we are open to those different conversations, those different aspects, and each person, whether it's 1 week, 3 months, 2 years, or longer, will all have different levels of commitment and different things that would come into a subscribed job description and the ways that they would fit into our team.
So a lot of the things we're talking about are sort of idealistic in a nice world where we are not on lockdown. COVID obviously plays a huge part in all of our abilities to travel right now. We currently are in our 3rd lockdown where we have to send a text message to the government to go anywhere. So we have no idea how long this will last. We are not on the same trajectory as you guys are in the US. I've noticed your numbers are going down, whether that's herd immunity or vaccinations or whatever. We are not there. We are not receiving vaccinations to be given, and we are not even close to herd immunity. So what that means, according to articles that we've been reading, are we could be closed for quite a while.
I know there are a lot of questions with this, and I want to reserve some time at the end just so that we can address some of those things specifically. I wanted to answer a few other questions because what I'm about to say, or what I will say about COVID, could change in the next month, and I want to be able to answer those as we move through. So let's move just to what a trip would look like if there are no restrictions, if you guys are able to travel, and then we'll talk about that other element in just a minute. Housing, it's plentiful. For those of you who've been on the islands, we can find a tent, we can find a couple trees for you guys to hang a hammock in. It is no problem worrying about where we're going to find a place for you all to sleep.
Or the normal people, we have nice hotels that we have friendships with, and they're varying levels of what you want to spend. You could stay at a nicer hotel for $100 a night, or a mid-level, has breakfast, fine hotel for 40 or 50. And they're near our ministry center, and this is what we normally recommend for our teams.
Squatter buildings are available if budgets are limited, but we can say.
So I don't know about this picture, but Greek food is amazing. So there is nothing that we cannot recommend about Greek food.
I'll try to share this with you. We'll look at just a brief second of this, and hopefully it will give you an idea. This is a well-known restaurant in our area, just around the corner from our ministry center.
We have a lot of teams who this is where they eat every meal. So if you're going to come, get familiar with this yummy food.
The famous tzatziki. And probably my wife's favorite salad once you get past the Greek traditional dish. Pork is readily available in our country. You can work with Muslims and have a pork gyro in the afternoon, and it's not a problem. And this is my favorite dish. It's a Greek quesadilla. So needless to say, there's not a lot of concern that you're going to go hungry.
I had that bad boy last time I was there, and that thing is fantastic.
I love. And then the dish that I closed with is a pork belly that they roast over charcoal. It is absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, food is not a question. We will feed you well.
So what you'll be doing primarily would be coming alongside our existing English classes, possibly having an intensive class yourselves, and using that as a vehicle for meeting people, building relationships for the purpose of gospel sharing and discipleship. So before and after class, and what we'd love to see is for your team members to connect with someone, have tea afterwards, and stay friends forever. That's what we'd really like to see.
Parks are readily available. There's green spaces around us within 10 and 15-minute walks where you'll have the chance to go out with some of your friends that you meet, some of the national partners in the afternoon. And we are in the middle of a biblical context. So as we start talking about building a team and designing something for your group, depending upon their time here in the country of Greece, Mars Hill is just a few minutes away on a metro. Corinth is a day trip that I would encourage, especially teams that have people who have not been to a biblical city. We put that in the calendar for you guys to spend, 6 or 8 hours with a Christian tour guide, really being able to walk in the footsteps of Paul, and to see the biblical history.
I also want to point out for the women who are listening that we have a women's ministry. We have a women's day. And so when your team comes, the women who are on your team will join in on this women's day where we have an opportunity to study the Bible with Afghan women, which is amazing. And if your teams, usually they have men and women, the men usually go to the men cave where they meet up with guys and build stuff. I don't know what they do, but there are specific things for women on your team to do.
She avoids the man cave most times whenever she gets the opportunity. As we continue on, I wanted to give you just a way to have longer connections, how you can pray for us. We'll share a couple specific things, but I wanted to give you the option to follow us on social media. Take a screenshot of this. Maybe your best bet is to just grab that webpage, thewilliamking.com, and everything is linked on that webpage. You will get more current updates from Instagram, from Twitter, from Facebook, and then YouTube videos come up. The 1 Person 28 is just an overview of the story that I just told you of a national partner working through social media, connecting with, I can't remember now, 3 people, 3 groups in Germany. There was a group in Pakistan, a group in Afghanistan. I think there was like 14 groups maybe that were inside Iran. So it's a pretty unique moment, and we try to do the best we can to share that through social media avenues. But how you can be praying for us even this week.
So I just wanted to share 2 things right now, today, this week, that are happening. So I told you about our friend who is leading these marriage, what does the Bible say about marriage classes in Instagram Live. I really don't even know how often it is. I see the advertisement for it come up all the time. And so pray for them, pray for wisdom. We know that, you've got Persian believers who grew up Muslim. They have no idea what a Christian marriage looks like. Or you have seekers who they really can see the gospel in the picture of biblical marriage. So this is a very important subject. Another thing that you can pray for right now, this week, we are moving forward with recording for the counseling website. And we're going to record on Wednesday breathing exercises. And we're honestly having a little trouble. I am having trouble communicating with the Iranian believing counselor for exactly what I want her to video. And so it's a collaborative effort that's going to make it happen. And I would appreciate you guys praying about that. I think it's an important thing, and it's going to be a meaningful thing for a lot of workers like us to be able to show these videos to people who are in need.